Welcome to the Ham Radio Guy Podcast. I'm Marvin, and my call sign is W0MET. Whether you're an experienced ham or just getting started, this podcast is for you, and we're bringing you the latest of topics, news, and information in all things amateur radio each episode right here to this show. This is episode number 36. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and thank you for listening. Well, here we are in another recording week. And I want to first of all say thank you to everyone who downloads our podcast and listens. And I hope that you find this always entertaining and informative. And we really appreciate your downloads. I mean, it goes to my numbers and it makes things look really good. And I like looking at the stats and seeing that I've got people from all over the country and all over the world that downloads this podcast. And of course, you can find us on many of the different medias from iHeart and Spotify, Google, and of course, Apple Podcast. And so continue to hit that like button and continue to follow me. You can also follow me on Podbean. And I hope that you'll continue to listen to these as I listen to many other podcasts myself. And so thank you for being there and being supportive. And, I'll tell you a little bit more as we go on here about my Patreon channel if you'd like to help support this and continue to keep this ongoing effort moving. So it's been a really busy May. It was kind of crazy with travel to Hamvention, and I was traveling to a graduation in Kansas City and then visited some family over the weekend. And so it was just really a Memorial Day weekend there. And so it's just been nuts. So I apologize for not having more episodes out there, but sometimes life does get in the way. And I try and get these out twice a month, but I do appreciate it. And it's just kind of a follow-up where I've been and where I've been going and what's been going on with my life and working full-time, having to travel to and from work now and not working remotely anymore. So it does make it a little bit more interesting as well. But, I do appreciate you being there and sticking it out with me. And, I continue to, average a good download daily rate. And I think that's great. So, well, our big topic this week will be Field Day and Are You Prepared? And, I've been making my list now for things that I want to do. And things I want to accomplish, equipment that I need. And I can't believe it's only 2 weeks away. And I've got family or some friends coming in this next week and stuff. So my next weekend's going to be kind of shot already at this point. But it's only 2 weeks away from this recording. And I hope that you'll get yourself prepared as well as we talk about Field Day today. And so we'll go into that in just a little bit here. Well, one of the things I want to touch on is a product and how useful it's been for me and how I use it. And I think I've talked about it my last time or two here, but that black Dacron polyester rope. It's about 1/4 inch. And I've used it in several of my ham radio applications. I'll have a roller with me on Field Day for setting up my guying and my masting of some of the masts that I have. And I'll be definitely using it for Field Day applications. And I never thought I would initially use 500 foot of that, but, I bought me another roll recently, and I guided my Gap Titan antenna, which is about 25 foot tall here at the house. And it, from locations I had to go out to the trees and stuff, I definitely needed a lot of rope to be able to do that. It wasn't going to be a simple, 20 feet of rope and just be done. So I had to go, 60, 70 feet to get out to a tree in some of those places. So it was definitely good to have and good to have lots of yards of that available to me as I guided that mast to keep it from blowing over or a high wind coming through and toppling it in half and, just bending the aluminum like a crushed can. So anyway, just something to think about. I'll leave a link in the show notes for that, how you can find that. It's been very good for me, and it's great for Field Day applications. The other thing I would like to really think about for Field Day, and this is something that I keep with me all the time. I keep one in my travel pack, my POTA bag, in my vehicle, and that's the Write in the Rain Field Notebook. And in fact, I'm going to speak on it just briefly here, was I got the Off-Grid WX field guide. It's a field reference guide from Off-Grid WX. And I'll probably be doing a review on this, but this thing was a excellent field guide that is made right here in the U.S. by a guy, and I drawn his call sign off hand. Let me see if that's handy available here on this sheet. It is Austin, KC2SAH with Off-Grid WX. And so, anyway, in this reference manual, it's got your information. It's got, amateur band plans and, WinLink information, APRS, standard Q codes. You can have some ARRL contesting information, and it's got lots of places to put your own amateur or GMRS repeater references. It's got things for some gear placement. Talk about first aid kit in there. And it's just some of the things that are in there. Some more things if you go through, you got more radio log in here. Lots of pages for radio log. I'd probably take out some of those and put some other notes in here. But it's got like the full map for like all your grid squares, which is really handy. And then it's got that broken down even further, and it's got some international time zones. So just stuff that you'll find really handy in here overall, a place to just break it up into notebooks and have some other logging notes if you want. But it's a great field guide to keep with you when you reference some things. Has a conversion of the UTC times even. So definitely a book worth having. Not cheap, but it is right in the rain. It's well protected. You can, still use it pretty much throughout any time of the year. You don't have to worry about moisture and paper getting to it, that sort of thing. So the notebook I recommend is made out of the same type of stuff, and it's very solid and well used. So anyway, that is my two little products that I've been using a lot lately that I really found handy, and hope that you'll find them handy as well. I will leave links in my show notes to both of those items you can take a look at, and hopefully you'll find them advantageous in your ham radio operations as well. Well, don't forget to my newsletter sign up. You can always find that link also in the show notes. And if you'd like to subscribe to the newsletter, that goes out twice a month as well. Try and do that week's opposite of the podcast. So first one went out here, I want to say just about a week or so ago. And I'll get another one out probably sometime this next week here. So, or right before field day, I'll probably go out and be honest. So don't forget to sign up for that. And I appreciate that as well. A lot of new subscribers coming around to that. Another thing I've been talking about is this trailer that I've got, and finally got my coax power pass-through installed, and so I'll be able to use that for field day. I can put coax in and out of the trailer now pretty easy. I decided to just go with a bigger, larger pass-through type of thing. I had to drill a large hole in the side of the trailer, but it can be used for a lot of things as well. If I had a water in there and need to drain water out or something, I could put it through that pass-through and just let it go. It would be great for that. But I'll be using this trailer at field day, and I'll be using a generator and everything with that for power. And so looking forward to that. Hopefully get some photos of that being used at field day with a full setup inside of it. I've got a couple masts I'll be deploying as well. And the only thing I'm needing to find out is what I'm going to use for a 2-meter radio, which I've got one inside my Gator box. It's an FTM 400. Probably just end up using that as my local repeater connection or 5.2, whatever frequency we go on for local operations. And we'll make use of that probably, most likely. I probably won't have a separate radio out of that. But anyway, that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. So that's my next big thing, and that's going to be able to get out and work is field day. It's having the opportunity to really finding a reason to get on the air, and that'll be one of those things that I don't really need much usually to find a reason to get on the air, but it does sometimes, having the time available to do that can be the most difficult problems that I run into. And so, I know this weekend was a big VHF contest weekend. I was hoping to maybe get on the air a little bit. There was some 2-meter single sideband, and yesterday was a nice day. I needed to do some things outside. Again, got some company coming, and that just made it really tough to be able to do that. But if I can usually find ways to get up on the air, again, I've got the new Gap Titan antenna, and if you're listening to this podcast and you have used a Gap Titan antenna before, I am getting like 14 plus, whatever number you want to choose, for SWRs on this Gap Titan. And my VHF and UHF look great. They are tuned well, and they're down to 1.5 to 2.5, something like that. And so I'm good with that for 2 meters and 440. But the HF side of this antenna is just off the charts, way above 10 to 1 for SWRs. So haven't figured out what it is. Looked at the map. We've had people over here to look at this. And I'm going to have to call the company this week, probably look at it. But if you have a Gap Titan and you've had any experience with that or know anything about it, and I can share photos with you, it would be greatly appreciated, as I'm trying to figure out why I've got such high SWRs on this. Got a big event coming up here in about 2 or 3 weeks that I need to be able to use this for, and I would like to have this thing tuned and working better. Well, before we do any more, I need to really get our sponsored promo out here for our sponsor, and don't want to forget them. We do appreciate it, as the Ham Radio Guy podcast is powered by Dakota Lithium, and they do have the ultimate outdoor power solution for batteries, and it'd be great. You still have time to get one for field day as well. They are the lithium iron phosphate batteries that deliver an unbeatable performance and durability for all our adventures. Again, I've been using one for a long time, and now it's my new POTA battery. I travel with me everywhere. And you can basically take this with you wherever you go as well, from camping to off-grid living. They're built tough to withstand the extreme conditions, and they're definitely a reliable battery to use in any environment. So there's a variety of sizes and capacities to suit your needs. And so if you're looking for a new battery, upgrade to Dakota Lithium today and experience the difference that it gets that you get with it. It's got an amazing 11-year warranty to it. And you can check out my link in the show notes and save 10% for cost. And so I hope that you'll take advantage of that. They've come a long ways in getting some batteries built for ham radio. And I think you'll really enjoy those batteries well. I've got a couple of them here I'm using. And I left one on the other day for about 2 days here in the office. I was charging a little USB light, and it still has power left. It's still like at 13. So it didn't use a whole lot of USB power. I'll probably take that with me as my portable battery when I go to field day. I'll probably just go ahead and top it off with charging. But if I need to charge my phone or something while I'm there, if I want to plug in the little USB light for my desk, I will take that with me and give me a little bit of portable light over my desk when it comes evening. Gets a little bit darker in the trailer. And so it's got a great little USB port right on top. It'd be perfect for powering that light or my phone when I need to. And again, running completely on battery. So if you'd like to help support the channel and become a patron, look for me over on patreon.com/The Ham Radio Guy. There are 3 levels of support you can support the channel at: Technician, General, and Extra. You can simply support the channel at just $2 a month, or get the extra class membership with more benefits. And, the other thing is I'm still looking for a few more patrons. We're getting up there. We're making progress for getting a FTM 300 giveaway. And so I hope that you will certainly consider being part of the program, being part of this ham radio community for this podcast. And I know I've talked about this last time. I think maybe there's not a lot of podcasts out there. I saw a new one that just popped up this last week, N1JUR, but I hope that you will consider a bit about supporting this channel, and certainly appreciate your support there as well, along with all your downloads for the podcast. Well, let's move into a little news here. Our top news stories this week takes us to Northwest Missouri. This is my original location of growing up, actually. And, amateur radio, also known as ham radio, is thriving in Northwest Missouri thanks to the Missouri Valley Amateur Radio Club. Brad Hurd, the club's coordinator, has dedicated years of mastering and teaching the craft of building and using amateur radio kits. We're now the official communications backup for Mosaic Life Care, Hurd said. A recent grant has enabled the purchase of advanced systems, and Mosaic has provided the space on their campus. Amateur radios, useful in emergencies when other systems fail, and has connected with Hurd with people worldwide, including Great Britain, South America, and Japan. The club, with just 15 members, seeks to grow by offering local certification and training and getting you licensed. So I think that's up in St. Joe, Missouri. So that's not far away from where I grew up. And so good to see that amateur radio is still trying to make a comeback there. And they're trying to grow in that area and hopefully getting some younger folks involved with this as well as they go. Well, let's look at story number 2 here. As phones come back into service at the Connecticut headquarters of the ARRL, the league's communications remained sparse and carefully worded about the apparent cyber attack that disabled its networks, servers, and systems, including Logbook of the World. After nearly a week of silence, the league announced that the FBI and third-party experts were called in early to investigate. An incident response team was formed, but the league's message posted on June 4th offered no insights into whether the attack was internal or external. The FBI deemed the incident unique, and the ARRL assured no sensitive data was exposed and stated the staff were testing systems to restore operations. And with our final story, with June's arrival, heralds the time to celebrate maritime safety beacons, lighthouses, and lightships worldwide. The upcoming event in August isn't a contest, but operators globally are engaged in connecting friendly competition to erect as many historic structures as possible. Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, reports lighthouses and lightships have reliably guided ships home over the years. On August 17th and 18th, ham radio operators will transmit signals from these sites into countries like Australia, Argentina, Germany, the UK, Belgium, and South America, and the U.S. Highlighting their unique history. Stations may operate solo or in teams with no restrictions, just guidelines. Registration is encouraged at illw.net. This is the amateur radio news from Amateur Radio Newsline, the ARRL, and many other sources with a release date of June 8th, 2024. Well, if you're looking for some top-notch quality and innovation in coax for Field Day, look no further than ABR Industries. From cutting-edge technology to unmatched customer service, ABR Industries has you covered. Trust the best in the business and choose ABR Industries for all your industrial needs or amateur radio needs, and visit them at abrindustries.com today. Still have time for it to arrive in time for Field Day and save 10% with using coupon code SAVE10 Ham Radio Guy. Find out more in the show notes from there. They are a great company, and they definitely provide all my coax for my ham radio shack here and all my other projects as well. So they will be my exclusive, ABR Industries will be my exclusive company I'll be using for Field Day as well. So anyway, again, you can find more notes in my show description about that. If you have any questions, reach out to me at W0MET at thehamradioguy.com for further information, or email me with any questions or concerns you have. Well, let's get into the topic for the day. And this is talking about the ARRL Field Day. And of course, this happens during the 4th full weekend in June. And I think all eyes of amateur radio turn towards the annual Field Day operating event. And this dates back from the 1930s. And goes to, current day. And I want to say there's been only 1 or 2 years maybe that it didn't happen back in like the 40s or 50s or something like that. But, Field Day is probably involved into the largest on-the-air operation during the year. Some people call it a contest. Some people say it's just a Field Day activity. But, according to the ARRL, about 4,500 clubs, groups, and individuals from across U.S. and Canada submitted logs from over 30,000 individuals, and over 1.25 million contacts were reported during the brief 24 hours of the event. So just a huge number of people participate in Field Day. I think some people look to it as their main event of the year, and that's what they end up doing. And so, you know, field day, is really about demonstrating the communication ability of amateur radio operators to work in a simulated emergency situation, similar as what we do for winter field day, right? So, but it's become a lot more than that over the years. They've got the get on the air stations, and sometimes they'll have testing at the sites, and sometimes people will have their tailgating of old equipment that they're trying to sell. We have barbecues or cookouts, and you have, different courses that sometimes they will offer, and sometimes it's a show and tell of your equipment and bringing it out and seeing how it works. But it's what you want to make it. Sometimes it's been just I need to figure out how to send a WinLink over email during field day, and this might be one of the various challenges that you might try and overcome this year. And maybe you're not into contesting or DX, but you just want to be able to know that your equipment works and check it out and play with it. And maybe you just want to test battery, how long you can operate and how long does that work. There's a lot of things that you can really start to go into field day. But I've learned over the years too. I used to bring out a truckload with a trailer and everything else, had a ton of stuff there, and I've now broke this back down to where I'm keeping it simple, as simple as possible. It's more easy for me to manage. I have more fun with that, and I don't have to work hard to try and keep everything else running and operational and going. I can actually have fun and operate and get some time in there. But that does require some technical planning and preparation to ensure good operation as well. So we'll talk about this planning ahead a little bit. And of course, 2 weeks beforehand is probably not the greatest time to talk about that. We probably should have done this maybe like even 3 months ago. But from a club standpoint, hopefully they've already kind of started organizing people and getting some signups and things like that for food and who's operating and what equipment's coming, who has what, maybe filters or something they need to bring. But, there is also planning of having, who's going to do a satellite contact and who's going to be the safety officer. And we'll talk about safety in just a second here. But there's a wide range of details that need to be discussed when it comes to field day. And, are we using the club call, or, how are we going to work all that together? And does the club want to include digital modes and things like that? Who the chairperson is, maybe you have some band captains. What are your hours of operation going to be? Who's going to do the outreach, the social media, getting, maybe government officials there? Is there someone that's going to be, dealing with a training operator, anything along those lines? Usually you have a club has a field day chairperson or director that kind of takes care of all this. And, if they've been doing it for a long time, it's pretty easy over the years as they do it. But, as people get older or people move on, you need to find others that can be cross-trained and help out with some of those things. And it's good to delegate some of that as well. And I know that some of the clubs I've been with in the past are current that, maybe the field days were much larger back a couple of years ago, but now they're a little bit smaller. And that's okay too. Again, it's good to keep it simple and not have to make it real complicated. But I think one of the things we want to talk about first, always around field day, is safety. And that involves a lot of different things. First of all is, your tripping and power hazards. You've got mast and guide wires and power cords running to your generators, or maybe you're running over to a commercial power for something else. You've got all your cables coming in everywhere. And so you want to keep, any of those hazards labeled and identified. You don't want people, walking into any guide wire mast, wires that they have. And so how do you identify that? Now, we've taken some yellow caution tape in the past and posted yellow tape around that so people can see the black wire or whatever it might be, a silver cable or whatever it might, whatever it might be made of. But sometimes it might be a bright orange rope. So maybe it might be more visible than you think. But At the same time, it's good to tie a red rag or a yellow caution tape around it or something. Again, how do you identify those things on the ground? Power cables running here and there. You've got all your coax running across over to the trailer, over to the shelter, maybe over to a tent. And you might have more than one coax there. And so how do you avoid people, guide them around that tripping hazard to keep them in place? The other thing for safety is obviously summer field day would indicate that there may be some warmth in some parts of the country, warmer than others. It can be very warm still or humid, even in Minnesota or the New England area here. And you need to manage that. So how do you keep people hydrated? How do you keep people cool? And in the years past, I've had like a mister that I hooked up to a local hose at the park and put it right across the side of the shelter, and people could walk through the mist or stand in the mist for a few minutes and help cool people down a little bit. And that was handy. It did make a little bit of a mud mess, but it was still a way to keep cool a little bit and cool somebody down. And so, if you have a medical, you have a safety officer that, may be responsible for a medical that comes up with somebody, overheats or, strokes out or has, other something that may just come up out of the blue, maybe got sick ate something, or maybe they just weren't feeling real well, but they came anyway. How do we deal with that? How do you call an ambulance? I mean, can you call 911 and get them there? How do you know where to guide them to? How do you describe where you're at? Do you have a medical personnel, a doctor or nurse or somebody that's part of your club that might be able to handle some of those things that could be on site? Maybe you have a guest trips and falls, over the edge of the concrete coming into the shelter. Could be over a coax and falls and hurts themselves or hits their head somehow. Those things are always possibilities of things happening. And so you want to worry about them as well. So it's a good thing to have a lot of safety involved around field day. It's one of the most important things you can have to ensure you have a good and fun field day. Well, the other thing is you need to start figuring out is your equipment. You have all the different radios, or people bringing radios. Does the club own radios? And with that, you got, do you have all the coax and all the connectors, and do you have a SWR meter? Which bands are you going to transmit on? Do you need one for each band, or are you going to do 20 meters on this radio from, 2 to 6, and then from 6 to 10, it's going to be on 40 meters. How do you change that? What are you going to look at doing around some of those things? You've got, obviously, all your master guide wires, and some people put up small towers, some big Yagis along the way. And, you have to, worry about your power and your generators and your batteries, solar panels. Again, more cables could be included there. So a lot of equipment to worry about. You're going to have a 2-meter antenna there for people to talk on, for getting, just local repeater traffic coming in as somebody managing that station. Things like that. Some band planning, who's going to be on 20, 40, 15, 10 meters, 6 meters if it opens up, or even 2 meters VHF. So if you get some sporadic E coming in to the region, then that might be, something to, look out for the 6 and 10 meter cycle. And of course, those usually occur during the summer months in June, July, and August, around early morning or late evening. So it's a great time to grab those bands. And so is somebody going to be operating on those bands? There's one of the radios going to be switched over to that at some point, and who's managing that? And then, of course, we have, with other band planning, you've got some band characteristics with ionosphere absorption into the D region, and that can be very critical in itself for, 20 and 40 meters. And maybe you have thunderstorms out in the West Coast or East Coast, maybe another part of the region you're not in, but that could be affecting some of your traffic going to and from that area. And of course, we can't forget about solar flares with Cycle 25 coming at us again, or getting closer to field day. Do we have any other radio blackouts that we've kind of been in that little bit of a low right now? I think it's coming. It sounds like bands are coming back now, but still something to consider with field day and how close we're getting. And one of the things that is there going to be somebody copying the W1AW Bolton, which always does a broadcast, and there's extra points for that. And so many groups will try and obtain that and definitely use it. We're talking about power. Are you going to be able to run completely on solar, or your battery's going to run out during the night? If you're on solar, do you have enough battery power there to sustain that? And where you can look at any other type of propane on a generator, or are you using just gasoline? Do you have enough gasoline on hand? How much propane are you going to need for that if you're running a propane generator potentially? And so a lot of things to think about there. Again, you have a go-to stations be completely separate from your other stations. And again, you have the 6 meters or VHF, UHF contacts as well. And, how many people are going to be indicated to that, are dedicated to the VHF and UHF stations. So, not a lot of people participate in that side of it, but sometimes it can be kind of tough to get some of those. But 6 meters, I've definitely worked that a little bit myself, and I do enjoy that when I can. So, trying to think of anything else through field day. ARRL has a great PDF of all the information talking about, the different things for field day, all the different rules. They have frequently asked questions. And, of course, one thing, they do allow the JS8 or the FT4, FT8 as well. They do have that. And so they do have definitely the digital modes available to you. And it's good to know that if you know your rack sections, if you're in like Western Massachusetts, it's WMA, and there's also an Eastern MA. So, if you're, in other parts of like Florida, there's Central Florida and there's South Florida. So good to know what those sections are if you're down there in that area, and where those are at and what the codes are. And if you're using, don't forget to go out and update your N1MM or N3FJP, all those different programs for using, for logging. And it's important. Is your club going to network those together, or are they going to be individual? And so, it's nice to know when they are networked together that people can know who's on what bands and where. So that's definitely important as well. And see anything else I can come up with real quick here. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in the packet for sure, but and things that can help you out with that. I hope that you'll definitely take some time to ensure your safety and always have fun and enjoy your field day. And, watch out for weather. Maybe somebody's going to watch that and take care of that as long as you are coming up on field day. And is that going to be rainy or is it going to be sunshiny and hot? Who's going to be greeting the public when they're there? That's always important as well. And, keep track of those sort of things. If you haven't registered your club or you haven't registered your own club on field day, the club locator on the ARRL page is good as well. And you can certainly, do some social media there as well. It's always good to get more presence out there. I love doing that for Winter Field Day. And I certainly try and get the presence out there for, Summer Field Day as well. Well, again, I kind of give a really high overview here of field day and things to talk about, but, I think I've got most of the stuff that would be, the top things to think about and consider for field day. If I missed something, please leave a comment and let me know what I may have missed or didn't think about for this. But I hope that this does help you. And again, the ARRL does have a great safety checklist and a field site responsibility list of things to think about, and making sure things are secure and that you have the main contacts for the clubs and all your rack sections and all your safety tips and things like that you might need for field day. So I hope that will help, and hope you enjoy field day and have a great one. I think that I'm looking forward to this year, and hopefully Cycle 25 will help us out and not be a hindrance to us as we move forward. Well, if you're looking at things for all things ham radio, visit the Ham Radio Guy over at patreon.com for more informative content, product reviews, and exciting blog posts. And join the conversation with your favorite podcast platform and stay up to date with the latest trends and news in ham radio world. Connect with us on Twitter, and don't miss out on the fun and knowledge sharing that I try and give to each and every one of you, and subscribe to the Ham Radio Guy today. So, one thing I did not update on my presence this week was the ARRL Field or Hamfest. And let's see if I can find that real quick. Hamfest Conventions calendar and what's coming up. I usually put that in my show notes, and I totally forgot about that. So, coming up on June 15th, just be this next weekend, this Knoxville Hamfest. Will be the ARRL Delta Division Convention in Knoxville, Tennessee. And, of course, there'll be ham radio in Friedrichshafen, Germany, June 28th to the 30th. HamCon in Zion, the ARRL Rocky Mountain Division Convention in St. George, Utah, will be July 12th and 13th. And, of course, we can't forget our Huntsville Hamfest, August 17th and 18th, and the ARRL Southeastern Division Convention in Huntsville, Alabama. And just a week later will be the Northeast Ham Exposition with ARRL New England Division Convention in Marlborough, Massachusetts. You can find me there, along with many other YouTubers. And lots of new stuff coming out for them this year. They've got a great comedy show on Thursday night, lots of great forums on Friday and Saturday. I'll be speaking on one on each day. And they've got Tamitha Skov for dinner on Saturday night as the main speaker. Steve Goodgame is Saturday morning, and a DX contest person, don't remember the call sign offhand, will be on Friday night. So a little bit in reverse there, but definitely got the big highlights. And if you haven't heard Tamitha Skov in the past, definitely worth going out and listening to her, and hoping to get some good time with her as well, and talking about space weather. So most informative lady I know that I could possibly tell you about in terms of knowing anything about space weather and how the solar flares and all this stuff works. So, well, if you enjoy the podcast, we hope you would become a subscriber wherever you get your podcast. Rate it, review it. Don't forget to leave comments if you have any questions. Again, you can go out to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or just go old school and tell friends and family and neighbors and hell anybody you want. You might want to hear something like this and listen in. And if so, be sure to follow me over on Twitter or patreon.com, and you can listen to the YouTube version as well on the W0MET channel. Well, as always, I hope that you learned something, and that you'll take away this week with something that will help you in your ham radio operations. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them on Twitter, podcast or platform, or email me over at W0MET@thehamradioguy.com. Well, as always, this is your ham radio buddy, in the chair and on the air, the ham radio guy. I say 73, W0MET.